Okay, so out of all the products that Apple introduced at their latest keynote, the Apple Watch Ultra to me was the most attention grabbing, mainly because we've been waiting for a refresh on the Apple Watch for such a long time. And it's a bit weird because Apple didn't overhaul the design across the product line. In fact, it announced the Series 8 and the new Apple Watch SE that are virtually identical to the very familiar Apple Watch form factor we're used to. And alongside those quote-unquote normal watches, we have the new Ultra, which to me kind of feels like a special edition type of device, as it definitely offers users some exclusive features, but is clearly inspired by the tried and true blueprint of the Apple Watch up to this point. I think the other reason I'm so enamored by it is because it's a pretty bold design that I immediately knew was going to be polarizing to consumers. So of course I had to get one, and I've been using the Apple Watch Ultra for about a week now, so let's talk about it. The Apple Watch Ultra maintains certain elements of the original design it's been using for many years now, most notably the signature rectangular shape with those rounded edges, the beautifully milled digital crown, and a super easy to use strap system. And what Apple did was basically take that fundamental Apple Watch blueprint, inject some steroids into that bad boy, and what came out is the Apple Watch Ultra. And the first place you're going to notice an immediate difference is with the case size. The Ultra boasts a massive 49mm display, which is significantly larger than the largest non-Ultra Apple Watch that's available. I know 4mm doesn't sound like much, but in the watch world, that's a massive increase, and it's extremely noticeable. In addition to the case diameter, the case width has seen a significant increase as well, making this sit much higher on the wrist than any other Apple Watch before it. So it's quite a presence, and not in a subtle way. Now you would think that with such an increase in size that the weight of the Apple Watch Ultra would increase correspondingly, and even though it is going to be the heaviest Apple Watch you can get, it's deceptively light to wear because of the build material Apple decided to go with. The Ultra uses aerospace grade titanium, which is an extremely tough and durable metal but surprisingly lightweight, and it's a relatively common material that is used by high-end watch manufacturers due to this very reason. Apple doesn't stop there with the premium touches, as the Ultra's dial is covered with a sapphire crystal, one of the most scratch-resistant materials available, again often reserved for higher-end watches, and instead of going with the curved integrated display, this one is completely flat with the titanium case coming up all around the edge to protect the crystal. A lot of tool watches are built this way to make them more durable and less prone to damage, especially when the dials are as big as this one. You also get a larger digital crown and a more pronounced button on the side for easier access, all protected by this new crown guard extension from the titanium case, which adds even more bulk. And on the side you have a new action button in this contrasted orange color and a pretty large speaker grille. And even on the rear of the Apple Watch Ultra where the sensors are, there's a high-end ceramic case back, all coming together to make this a super premium watch, no doubt about it. Now premium doesn't always equate to aesthetically pleasing, especially in the watch world, so let's just address the elephant in the room. Does the Apple Watch Ultra look good? Well, it's definitely going to come down to preference, but the first way that I want to address the question is by saying that it doesn't look bad. And I say it that way because considering the dimensions, the finish, all the way down to the color scheme, there's honestly a lot that could have gone terribly wrong here, and even though it may not be your personal cup of tea when it comes to look, I think it'd be a stretch to say that it's poorly executed from a design standpoint. In fact, 1 week later, I'm really impressed at how well Apple put this watch together. I was worried that it was going to come off too much as a tech device more than it did a watch, but Apple found a really good balance here, as this really does look and feel like an actual high-end tool watch. The ruggedness of the crown guard and the flat sapphire crystal pairs beautifully with the champagne finish brushed titanium and the precisely tooled buttons, and it doesn't look or come off cheap in any way. The new Wayfinder watch face is also really nice. I worried it might be a bit too busy, but I think it's done well with the amount of space it's given, and the night mode that you have access to is pretty cool. Now I chose to go with the black scuba ocean band. It looked the most appealing to me at the time of purchase, and I do like it. It's softer and more flexible than what I expected, and it really does add to that rugged motif that the Apple Watch Ultra gives off. I also picked up the orange trail loop for good measure, much more of an eye catcher, but I actually really like it. It's really comfortable to wear, and I think it best complements the design elements of the watch itself. It is a little bit of a pain taking the watch on and off, so keep that in mind if you're interested in this one. But what's nice is that you can use the non-Ultra 44 or 45mm watch bands if you want, which will provide you ample opportunities to adjust the look of the Ultra in many different ways. Now the last thing about the looks that I want to address is the size. This is a big watch, and I don't think it has the same everyday wearability like the other Apple Watches. So if you do have particularly small wrists, it may be too much for you if you plan on having a smartwatch for simple everyday purposes. I will say I'm not personally a fan of big watches, but I'm surprisingly fine with the way the Ultra looks on my wrist, and I'm quite enjoying it. It's not as overwhelming as I thought it was going to be, and it's something that I like wearing all the time. But I do get that is super subjective. I highly recommend that you try it on at an Apple store before making the plunge yourself. But I guess it's fair to say when it comes to looks and wearability, I've been pleasantly surprised. But let's start with some of the unique features that the Apple Watch Ultra brings to the table, and let's start with the basics. 1 week later, one of the things that has really stood out to me about this watch is how bright the display can get. This is an always-on Retina display that can get up to 2000 nits of brightness, and it's noticeably more legible in direct sunlight than the other Apple Watches that I've used before, and it's underrated nice to have this, especially if you're outdoors often. The Apple Watch Ultra also exclusively comes with dual frequency GPS, which makes it a lot more accurate when it comes to precision tracking when you're on a hike or run. This pairs nicely with the updated Compass app that isn't exclusive to the Ultra but makes it way more accurate. The Apple Watch allows you to easily drop waypoints to help you find your way back should you get lost. The watch also has a feature called Backtrack that automatically takes GPS markings in the background when you're in an unfamiliar location and can provide you directional guidance on how to get back to where you started. Now, should you find yourself in a hairy situation where your safety is at risk, the Ultra comes with a slew of safety features and an exclusive 86 decibel siren that could be heard from up to 600 feet. Now, if water is your jam, the Apple Watch is scuba certified and comes with a depth gauge and water temperature sensor, and though it's not out yet, Apple is partnering with the Ocean Plus app, which will allow the Ultra to operate as a dive computer, which is pretty impressive. One of the more unique features on the Apple Watch Ultra is the action button that you could map to perform a certain function. You could have it launch a workout, start a stopwatch, mark a waypoint, or even turn on a flashlight that is surprisingly handy. Now, yes, a lot of those features you can map to a complication on many of the watch faces available on the Apple Watch, but it's far more convenient having this dedicated button on the side, and I'm eager to see what else it could be mapped to in the future. Now, the last thing about the Ultra that I want to talk about that really makes it stand apart from the others is its battery life. It can go 36 hours without needing a charge, which is double that of the non-Ultra Apple Watches, and it's a big deal. I've gone nearly 2 full days of moderate usage before needing to re-up, and this battery increase is going to be important if you are out on longer activities such as a triathlon or a long hike, as the sensors being used do require a lot more power. Essentially, no matter what you're doing, the Apple Watch Ultra should be able to get you comfortably through a full day of heavy use with no problems, which is a great thing. So yes, there's a ton that the Apple Watch Ultra can do, and 1 week later, I'm gonna be completely honest, I've probably used less than 1/10 of what it has to offer. I was sick for a little bit and stuck indoors mainly doing a ton of work, but I have taken it outside for some short walks and to the gym for some workouts, and it's been great. Is it overkill for a person like myself who isn't that outdoorsy? Yes. But what I like about the Apple Watch Ultra 1 week later is that I don't feel as though that I have to be an endurance athlete to enjoy it. It's a much more versatile device than say like a Garmin, which I feel is much more of a dedicated activity watch. The Ultra is at its core an Apple Watch first that just so happens to be excellent at activity tracking as well. So all of that is fine and good, but let's get down to brass tacks and talk about the Apple Watch Ultra's price tag and whether or not it's worth it. So the $799 sticker price is expensive, I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but whether or not the price is unreasonable, I think really comes down to what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing it with like a base model 41mm aluminum Apple Watch Series 8, which has a $399 price tag, that's quite a difference. But to me, that's a pretty unfair comparison because even though they may share a lot of the same functionality, they are two very different watches when it comes to build. A more fair comparison would be benching it against the stainless steel 45mm Series 8, as it's made with more premium materials, it has a larger size, and cellular comes standard. The price on that watch is $749, which kind of makes the $799 price tag on the Ultra not as bad. But bottom line, who is the Apple Watch Ultra for? Number one, if you're deep in Apple's ecosystem and you're a serious athlete or all about the outdoors, you're gonna love the Ultra. It's built like a tank and has a plethora of features catered to your lifestyle. It's a highly recommend for you. Number two, regardless of how active you are, if you're looking for a higher end Apple Watch that's on the bigger side, you're likely gonna love the Ultra too. It's an absolutely beautifully put together device that you're gonna love using even if you don't take advantage of most of its features. Now, who is this not for? Number one, if you're not a super active outdoorsy person and you're not a fan of big watches, the Apple Watch Ultra really doesn't make sense for you. Number two, if you're all about value, getting the most bang for your buck, the Ultra isn't the best choice either. You can get around 98% of the core features that the Ultra has in most of the newer non-Ultra Apple Watches, so your best bet there is to look for an older Series 6 or 7 that is on sale if you want that maximum value. All that to say, I've been really enjoying the Apple Watch Ultra 1 week later, though I do recognize it's not for everyone, but I want to know what you guys think. Do you think it's a watch that has mass appeal, or do you think it's a clunky mess? Curious to get your thoughts, let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Okay, that's about it for this review. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you guys found it useful. Again, I'd really appreciate it. Check out these other reviews if you're looking for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.